How's it going, YouTube? Coming to you today with another video, and today, guys, what the brand new is going to be the meta breakdown post to the ban list. I'm very excited to make this video because the ban list is a lot to unpack right now. There's a lot of different things that just happened. Today we're going to talk about the different hand traps that I think are going to be the best ones that might have fell out of favor, some of the best decks of the format in my opinion. I think I know the top 5 as far as right now because the format's still very undefined, so we'll have to see how it shapes up, and much more. So if you haven't already checked out my sponsors over at Imperial Duelist, Dragon Shield, Gem, or Sleep Chief, definitely go ahead and check them all out down in the description below. If you haven't already checked out my mat over at Imperial Duelist, definitely go ahead and do so. Anything that gets bought on there and uses my code GGYGO10 definitely supports the channel directly, so I really appreciate it. And without further ado, let's hop right on into the first topic. The first thing I want to talk about is going to be the impacts from the ban list. So the ban list definitely was a lot. There's a lot of cards that got hit. So the first one here is Samsara Lotus. This card was for an FTK. I don't really think that it's that good anymore, but maybe it will be at some point. This is definitely going to end up being a problem again and probably get rebanned, but we'll see. The next one, Steam the Cloak. Absolutely not doing anything. I don't think it ever will do anything. We'll have to see though. Getting a free token is pretty nice, but at the same time, I don't really know if this is going to be necessarily a problem. Quick fix, I really wanted to see one master plan back. I think that would have been really cool. We do have machine dupe. We do have 3 drone and 3 quick fix, so this really could end up doing something at some point. But for right now, probably not a whole lot. I wouldn't even call Spiral rogue. So definitely something that's interesting, but I'm sure at some point we will see something out of this. Then when you have Birdman, Birdman probably isn't going to do anything either. I don't really think that it will. This is another card that enabled, I believe, an FTK as well. But at the same time, I don't really think that this is going to be a problem now. Cyberstein probably had to go just because of the fact that this card was pretty problematic in different scenarios, and it's only a matter of time before it becomes problematic again. So banning this, definitely okay. Blaster, this is not really going to do anything. No one's really going to play this, so that's fine. Recital, I mean, okay. You only really played 2 of it, and the third one doesn't really matter. No one's really doing anything. We don't have Samorg, so it just is really hard to play Leary Try right now, but maybe soon. 2 Storm, who cares? 2 Fountain, also who cares? Everyone only played 2. 2 Starter, I mean, it's a consistency hit, but like Sprite, Live Twin, Runic is still one of the best decks of the format right now, and this didn't really change anything. A Pointer being banned, sure. This is a card that was just set off a thrust, and it's only sometimes people used it. It wasn't super common. I don't really like any mechanic that says, hey, look at your opponent's cards. It's just not really healthy. That's why they changed their ruling behind Mind Crush. So, I mean, it is what it is. I definitely like the card being banned because, again, I really don't like that mechanic. Cards that could do something as far as like a hit or coming back, I think Denglong is an interesting one. It kind of seems like Apple Dragon in a way where it seems really broken, but it might not really do anything. I've seen people do like the Monodome Yang Zing piles already, but like Monodome alone kind of sucks. So I don't really know if this is going to do anything. I think that we need a little bit more consistency with this card because there's not like a lot of great ways to summon out of 5 right now. And I do think that this is probably going to be best used in like Sword Soul. I tried to make it work in like Zephyra too, but even then it wasn't super fantastic. So we'll have to see. The game is a lot faster now, and I felt like this really worked in the slower formats. But again, this is going to be something that we'll have to test a lot of to really see if it's going to be a higher impact. But I know a lot of people who did play back then when this card was legal understand why this card is so broken. But again, the boards were crazy in a sense that there weren't a lot of ways to break them. So the game is just a lot different now, right? Like getting 9 pillars is no different than seeing like a crescendo or something different, right? Like it's just a negate. Like, yeah, it shuffles, but it's not super terrifying, right? Orange Light, this probably should have just went to 3. I think that this probably will end up being very low impact, but you got to realize that Drytron is still a deck, so any opportunity to play more Orange Light in a deck like that, they're probably going to. So I could see this being like somewhat impactful in some kind of like tier pile or even playing Drytron alone. So definitely really cool. I like Orange Light as a card. I think that it's fine. Definitely was a bit ridiculous when you could go ahead and pitch like a Guido or something and just win the game immediately. But the times are a little different now, so I think this card could go back to 3 no problem. 3 Draco Face Off. Draco Slayers was actually a really solid deck, and then we had full power Kashtira, so it locked out a lot of your pendulum zones. But now it's not as frequent that your zones get locked, and people are doing really well super heavy, even against Kashtira, because there's ways to break the board, i.e. a lot of board breakers. So I could see Draco Slayers being a crazy sleeper pick this format. But I do think that deck requires a lot of technical play and really understanding what the deck does. Draco Face Off alone is a really crazy card because before you only had like Vector and you had Luster. Now you have a lot to choose from with this card. So Draco Face Off, really base card, probably going to do something at some point. I did put multi-roll as the semi-impactful hits here because of the fact that you don't really want to run more than one multi-roll if you are going second. I play two, and I've even found myself siding it out quite a bit. If you're going first, then of course, like having the extra multi-roll is really nice. And then going second, it's really nice to have it so you can at least force out interruption too. But it's not like super crazy that we got like more multi-roll. It's definitely crazy we got more engaged, right? But like multi-roll, definitely a really cool thing for the deck. Was it super needed for the deck? Probably not. It's probably fine just even have just one of it. Now, if the card was banned, then the deck would just be awful because it had no grind game. But multi-roll at 2 or even 3, it's okay. Like, I like to have it, but it's not like crazy or game breaking. Naturia Sacred Tree, I think this is definitely impactful because in the Naturia pile, it's just less common for your opponent to go Hugin Pitch Tree and get into their engine. And if you ever played against that deck and you like ash the first tree and watch your opponent not be able to play the game because they didn't open up Naturia engine, then you understand that this is actually pretty impactful putting this to 1. It depends on like how hard of a hit they really wanted to go after Runic 4. It's really weird that the 70 limited fountain when everyone only plays 2. But I mean, it is what it is. I wanted an actual hit to Runic like Hugin to 1, but I mean, I guess. As far as the high impactful hits, Gamma needed to go at least to 1. I guess that's fine. No one's even gonna play it. It might as well be banned at that point. But like Gamma created this really weird area of the game where you would be playing against like Dragon and they would activate Chaos Space and you knew that if you ashed it you won the game, but you know that if they Gamma you, you lose on the spot. And it's the same thing with like Prosperity where like you know you should ash Prosperity, but then like Gamma's around, you know? So it's definitely one of those things where I think it's going to take people a little while to really be able to get away from the mindset of, oh, I shouldn't ash here because Gamma, or oh, I shouldn't drop Droll here because Gamma. But this being gone is definitely very good. Creates a lot less toxic scenarios and makes hand traps feel a lot better. So I definitely like this hit. This was definitely very good for the game. Should D-Shifter have went with it? Absolutely, because now it's just really hard to out that card. But I will take Gamma. I will take Gamma. That was good. Circular, definitely high impact. Mathmech's not dead. There's a lot of ways to get to Circular and combo and other like hybrid Cypress decks that you can play, which are pretty cool. But one Circular definitely does hurt, so that's something to definitely think about if you're going to be playing Mathmech in the future, whereas having one, it just is a lot less consistent to open it. Scarecrow, I've already seen a lot of people make different hybrid builds of Super Heavy and try to find a way around having the Link 1, but this is very reminiscent of Prank Kids when Meow Mew got hit. It's just the Link 1 being gone. It's not even the fact that the Link 1 had the reborn effect. It's the fact that it's a Link 1 that you can get rid of a monster for. And that's really important because just the Piercer search alone can be huge. It's the same thing as going like Link 1 Prank Kid, right? Like having to have 2 Prank Kids and a fusion spell made that deck completely dead. I'm not saying that Super Heavy is completely dead, but it's definitely a lot more fragile now than it was before. Now, as far as the Kashtira hits, I recall before we saw a ban list that every player said, okay, if Diabolosis gets banned, then the deck is fine. It's at least manageable. But not only did we get Diabolosis banned, we have 1 Arise Heart and we have 2 Unicorn. On a deck that had to play 3 Prosperity and Desires just to see combo, I think that's pretty huge. That's something where if you break the first board, they don't have a Rise Heart. And then also, if you get rid of Unicorn, it's just going to be a lot harder for them to see their lines of play. But I really do think they needed Birth to get hit. Birth was definitely the card, like, If they banned Diabolosis and like limited Birth, I think that would have been the perfect hit to Kashtira. But I think that this is fine. I still really wish that Birth would have gotten hit though. That card's absurd. Especially if you're playing like Striker or something, that card is so ridiculous to play against. But at the same time, it's fine. We'll see how this hit does to the deck. I've already seen a few ways that people are trying to play Kashtira now, and we'll really have to see which one's the best. At this point, it feels like Zodiac, where you're just going Dryden Pass with like trap cards or floodgates. So we'll have to see. Engage, obviously, this is going to be huge because this is now a splashable engine to engage one drone and anchor, maybe a burner. And you can play it in any deck for the most part, which is pretty crazy. So we'll definitely have to see how this one goes because that seems kind of scary. We saw this before, it being really impactful in decks like Sky Striker True Draco or Sky Striker Orcust. So I'm sure that we'll see something very similar coming soon. Delicious, this one hurt. Because if you're playing Pearly, there's no direct line to Delicious anymore. None. Like, you have to hope that you can see it when you're using Pearly effect, or if you use the 33% chance off of My Friend. So, it's definitely not favorable. This is one of the craziest hits I've seen in a really long time in terms of just, like, outright hurting or killing a deck. Just because of the fact that not being able to have access to Plump, you can't even hard make Plump and then use Nor because it's not a quick effect without the Pearly. So you can use it on your turn, but it's not a quick effect. So you really have to find a route to get to Delicious Memory. So that might just be playing the field spell, putting up Beauty with a couple like floodgates or extra cards, and then passing, hoping you don't die, and then using Lily to add back your Delicious. But even then, and I talked about like the purely tier limit build, if you get impermed on your Lily, it's over. Like, that's so crazy. Expulsion, that card can stay gone. That was so degenerate. I lost that multiple times at the YCS, getting just Gimmick Puppet Nightmare locked, and that sucked. But other than that, I definitely do enjoy this card being gone. Brand is still fine. They have Sanctifier, but at the same point, that card is not Expulsion. So there's a lot of real outs to that card, which I'm very excited about. This card was just so absurd. I'm so happy that Expulsion's gone. But moving past this, 6 to 8 hand traps this format versus last format where we had 18 hand traps. I think that we're going to go back to just seeing a mixture of board breakers and hand traps, but you're probably not going over 6 to 8 hand traps right now. I think that anything more than that is just overkill. You mostly want to play some more engine and non-engine like talents that are just going to be overall better and a lot more interactive games. And I think that's really what we're about to be getting into. Other than the amount of floodgates we're about to see this format, unfortunately, I think that we are going to go back into seeing a lot more like back row hate. And I definitely recommend that you play back row hate because we're going to see quite a bit of floodgates. So definitely make sure that you're prepared for that. The next thing here is the most important thing about this format, and that's going to be Lava Golem, Kurakara, and Dark Ruler. These cards are going to be fantastic this format. I really do believe so, and we'll talk about the best decks of the format here soon and why I think that these cards are going to go crazy. Then is Droll falling out of the format? And I really feel like it's going to, with a huge hit to Super Heavy where this card shined against. And then even Pearly, that is having a really hard time now finding its way back into the format with only one Delicious. This card just doesn't really do as much as it did last format, especially if you start seeing some of the decks you'll see in my top 5. I really don't think this card's going to be as spectacular as it was last format. So talking about the hand traps that I think are going to be really good, that's going to be Ash, Veiler, Imperm, and then for the sideboard, Bell. Especially with the amount of Labyrinth that we're about to see, and then also for Branded on the Sanctifier when they try to Gimmick Puppet you. So you want to make sure that Bell is in your sideboard, but Ash, Veiler, Imperm I think are just the most generically good hand traps this format. Effect Negation is about to be really crazy. You can side deck Nibiru, that's what I'm doing right now, but I also don't think that card should be in the main deck. I think in such an undefined format, you should be playing cards that are literally just effect negations. So again, Ash, Veiler, Imperm, Side Bell, all very fantastic cards right now. And then for my top 5 decks right now, I would say Labyrinth, more likely the Furniture Labyrinth build. I think that's just so crazy, the ability to just combo into your opponent's turn and then pop a bunch of cards and set up your own board and get the cards like Eradicator. And it's just very good. So I definitely recommend going ahead and trying out the IKEA build. It's just really solid. The next one here is Kashtira, and this is probably still the best deck of the format, but there was definitely a hit that happened to it. So we're still trying to find out different builds that you can play, different tech options, and what you start trying to do with the deck now versus what you're doing before. And honestly, I do think that's gonna end up being like a Rise Heart with like floodgates. So we'll see, but that might just be the better variant of it. I've been seeing a lot of people end on like a Rise Heart and like Fenrir or just like very minimal boards. But it's really interesting in the mirror match now. You can't just like use Shangri-Ira and then watch your opponent go like Fenrir into a Rise Heart, because the second that a Rise Heart's gone, they just lose. So it's really interesting to see how the mirror will end up interacting. But now we have Branded as well. Of course, the deck didn't really get hit. It lost Expulsion, but at the same time, Branded is still alive and well. I really wish that Branded Fusion would have went to 1, but we do have the ulti coming out soon, so of course, it's going to be around for at least one more format. I'm just really tired of seeing Branded. It's been around since last year even, so I really just want to see this deck gone already. This is something that we saw happen to Dragon a while back, where the deck was just around for way too long and then they caught multiple hits. So I think that Branded's going to end up getting hit further after this format. Hopefully Branded Fusion to 1. The next one here is going to be Sword Soul. A lot of people were like, no, there's no way Sword Soul's not going to be that good. I honestly think that it's going to be in the formats where you can play a little bit of hand traps, a little bit of non-engine, and then you have Denglong now alongside your main engine in an undefined format. Sword Soul cleans up. And I think this deck is definitely going to come back with a vengeance, and we'll probably see quite a bit of Sword Soul going into the next format, so be prepared for that. And then for the last one here, the most figured out deck already, and honestly, in terms of power, probably the best one here at the moment would be Live Twin Runic Sprite. I think that deck is so crazy. It already won so many different tournaments. Sprite took down 3 nationals, and it really didn't even get hit at all. So that's something to really think about, because that deck is going to be around. And even at my last regional I went to, I played against 3. So that's something to even say that it's very popular, and I'm sure that we'll see quite a bit of it. But I do hope that you enjoyed today's video. I really wanted to be able to break down the meta and show you exactly what I'm thinking and where I see the format going, just so you can kind of get an update and know exactly what to pick up and what to look out for. Because again, the format could change next week and we could see 3 other decks pop up. But as far as I'm seeing right now, I think that we're in a really good place and really just trying to figure out exactly what everything does and what decks can really end up being the better decks. But if you haven't already checked out my Discord, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, or Metafy page, definitely go ahead and do so, all down in the description below. We are on our way to 20,000 subscribers. If you're not already subscribed, subscribe to the channel so we can hit our goal and do one of the biggest giveaways this channel has ever seen. I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope everyone has a wonderful night, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Thank you.